Yeah, I don't know.
Hello and good evening, everybody, and welcome to TrainWorld TV. Tonight we have another action-packed episode, and the band is back together. we have Ken Senior from TrainWorld Trainland. How you doing?
Yeah. Hello.
All right. And Rich Foster from MTH Electric Trains. How you doing, Rich?
I'm doing excellent, Kenny. How are you?
All right, not too bad. And Andy Edelman, Prime Mover Communications. How you doing, Andy?
I'm doing great, Ken. Good to see you guys.
All right. So great to see you guys and great to be back with you guys. I feel like everything is back as normal, and it's glad to see you guys, and it feels like good times. So we appreciate everyone out there for joining us tonight. And we have MTH Electric Trains on tonight, along with Andy Edelman from Prime Mover Communications. And we're going to go over tons of new announcements from MTH Electric Trains, along with a lot of the TrainWorld exclusives and some new information about the new organization structure and what Rich and Andy is up to and how they're going about their lives. So let's begin with, I guess, Rich or Andy, whichever you guys want to start off.
Well, thank you, Ken. I'll just jump in and kind of give a brief overview of what we'll talk about tonight. Obviously, MTH is still around, and Rich is running the show over there, and I'm helping out in the contractor relationship. There's been big changes to how the product is marketed. We'll talk about that a little bit. There's a new website for parts ordering that debuted last fall. There's been a bunch of recent arrivals and some upcoming arrivals. We'll talk a little bit about that. And the DCS system that's in production later in the summer, be out late in the fall. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then, as you alluded to, the custom runs, big part of the MTH marketing scheme now. And there's a bunch of products for TrainWorld and some new things that we'll announce tonight about that as well. So really, that's kind of what we're going to go through. And we'll try not to keep everybody out too late past dinner time. I know Rich's stomach is growling. If anybody's ever seen him, he's so skinny. So he needs his food intake. And I don't want to hold him up too long. But I appreciate having the opportunity to come in here. Rich and I have been working together for since what, 1980 something?
About that. Yeah. 35, 6 years.
Yeah, we knew each other. We met each other in 8th grade. And
Wow.
Remarkably, we still like each other.
High school sweethearts.
Well, let's not get carried away. Obviously with the change with Mike stepping down in day-to-day operations and just being a retired owner, Rich is running the show over there, and they kind of changed the way the structure was, where the marketing team is now on a contractual relationship. And so everybody that has been working on product for MTH over the last several decades is still involved, but not as direct employees. So, things like doing a live broadcast, we're doing it from the Prime Mover Communication Studio, and it's not quite as nice as the old COVID bunker, I think.
Yeah, and I meant to say something to you when I got here because you had no food or cocktails in the green room.
My assistant must have forgot.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm sorry.
but really beneath my standards.
Well, you should be used to it. Your new location is beneath my standards, so it's better here, I think.
Yeah,
But I mean, look, it looks professional. At least
yes,
they think it looks professional. If they were here, they would agree it's not. Plus, I had to turn the air conditioning on.
Rich is A-list talent, Andy. A-list talent, not the B lineup.
My bad. My bad. Anyway, yeah, the COVID bunker is where we did all of our stuff. And that was a good thing for MTH, keep customers informed of what's going on. Through the whole thing, I managed to avoid the COVID till about a month ago. And then I got it.
Well, you look no worse for wear.
Oh,
so.
I kicked its butt.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. I knocked that thing out in a couple of days, so it wasn't too bad.
Okay.
I'm overly vaccinated, though.
Okay.
Yeah, overly fed and overly vaccinated.
I can see both.
You can see both. So anyway, that's the scheme, and now we're 1 year out from when MTH moved out of the location.
That's right. In a year. So.
Wow.
And you're unloading trucks in addition to answering the phone.
I wear many hats. Put it that way.
Good for you. Well, let's talk a little bit about the marketing because it's no longer catalogs. It's weekly announcements, pretty much. And when we do that, it's a little different than what it was before, where a printed catalog came out. Instead, it's actually a newsletter. And if anybody's ever subscribed to the newsletters or haven't subscribed, it's really, really simple. You just go and visit the MTH site and click on the sign-up sheet. It's real simple. It's highlighted right on the home page. And when you do, you just fill the form out, and you want to make sure that you select whichever newsletter list you want to subscribe to. And we've still got S-Gage and HO in there. But certainly you can subscribe to them. We'll continue to print stuff for a little while, or I should say digitally send stuff out. And once you do that, you just hit the subscribe button and you'll get those on a weekly basis. Actually, you'll get a newsletter 5 times a week. And by that, I mean, what happens is every time we do a announcement, that happens on Wednesday. And it might be one product type with 4 or 5 different paint schemes. But Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, the custom runs are done. And so you're going to get 5 newsletters a week. And you can certainly.
Yeah, I encourage everybody, sign up for that e-newsletter. You'll see everything we've been promoting to the general MTH dealership, as well as a lot of real neat custom run offerings. You'll learn a lot about some that TrainWorld's offering a little bit later on in the show, but we'll keep you abreast of whatever we're producing for both MTH as well as the custom runs.
Well, and the other thing about it is it's not just the newsletters. If you don't want to get your inbox coming in, you can go to the site every week and you'll at least be able to see the latest announcements on the front page. Every week, those announcements come online, and you click on them and you'll see all the details. And if you miss an item or want to check out all of the news articles that have been published through the newsletter, you simply click on the news link on the homepage, and that'll take you to a list of different products. Click on any of those to learn more about what came out or what was announced. And then, of course, you can always check the MTH product locator for shipping arrivals and so forth.
Correct.
To see when that stuff comes out. And one of the other things about all of this is that the database, the product locator database, is set up so that you can see what's custom runs and what we would call an MTH offering to all of the dealers. And you can search by your favorite dealer by just using the keywords for whatever the dealer is. In TrainWorld's case, if you just type TrainWorld into the product locator search field, you'll find all of the items that we've done for TrainWorld.
Yeah, and for quite a few months after we moved in to the new location, actually for probably about 8 months, the locator wasn't really working. So now it is back up and working. There's much rejoicing. So you can look for product in the field as well.
Absolutely. So that's the scheme on how you get things as far as the news goes. So please go out and subscribe to that stuff. It's a 2-week window for the most part. So when you see an item that's announced in the newsletter, you've got a couple of weeks to get an order into a dealer because MTH is building pretty much right to the order quantities that are coming in. And you're doing that mainly because you have no space.
Because we have no real room for inventory. So yeah, there's it's the new business model. We have to be pretty much build to order, and but there's a lot of shops just like TrainWorld. They're stepping up and getting things on order, so you can look for an older or something that was announced a few months back, because likely they'll have room on their order position to take your order.
So the other thing about the changeover really is a new parts site. And we talked about that before. I think we had Mike Reagan on.
Yes.
And that was before you got out of the building, I think. Pretty much, right? Or maybe it was a little after. Maybe it was last fall. I can't remember.
Yes, it was
the
last
COVID
fall.
did affect my
Yes,
memory.
it did.
Yeah. So anyway, the thing about that is you go to the website, just like from before, and you're going to click on the parts site link, and that will take you to the new MTH parts site. And there's all kinds of product in there. They've been, I don't know, tripled or quadrupled their parts sales since that site went live. And one of the things that is really helpful is if you go to the video section and scroll down to the how-tos and click on those to learn how to do the searches. Mike Reagan did a really good job of walking people through that.
Yes, he
and
did.
That will get you up to speed on how to order it. It's like any other custom cart that you use for an e-commerce solution, so it's not that big of a deal, but certainly a much improved process over what was.
Oh yeah, it's much better than the old MTH parts ordering system. There's photographs of lots of parts on there too, so you can identify if it's what you're looking for. And they're still working, they're still adding stuff all the time. So if you've been on there, you can go back from time to time and see what's new on there.
And we do publish a newsletter for new parts announcements. Mike was really on top of it today and sent me the newsletter content for today at 4 o'clock. And we discussed it a week ago, and I said next week, and he waited till today. So I may get to that tonight, but he's a kind of a tall guy, so I really can't give him too much grief.
Look, he's a paper tiger.
Okay.
You can just knock him aside.
Whatever. So anyway, that's that. So I think the other things people are always wanting to know is when is stuff coming? You know, what's on the schedule, what's about to arrive, and you do have a couple of containers due in here over the next couple of weeks.
Yes, I think. About half of the USRA Pacifics are going to hit our place within the next few weeks. We do expect, the ones that are coming first are U.S. Army, Maine Central, Baltimore, Ohio, Boston and Maine, and Pittsburgh and West Virginia. The balance will follow about a month after that.
Now, what's different about those Pacifics?
Well, they all have a smoking whistle now, quillable whistle. So if
smoke comes out.
If you're using DCS, you can quill the whistle and activate the smoke out of the whistle as well.
And that's the first time we've
on that model. Yes, right. First time.
Okay, good. And there's a bunch of custom run ones that we're not including in here that will be coming in next month. Is that
yes?
The deal?
There are a handful of custom run Pacifics as well. You can see that on on some of those news articles as well.
So then what else on that boat? GP35s, I think?
The
balance?
balance of the GP35s, absolutely. We got in 3 of the 5 about a month ago. So this container has Erie Lac and Norfolk and Western on it.
So a high hood and a low hood, right?
I
Is
believe
that the way
so.
I saw that?
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah, indeed. And nothing different about these other than quillable horns. Of course, that's what we usually have in Premier if we got a multi-chime horn.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a standard MTH Protosound 3 locomotive. Tell me a little about the Protosound 3 issues. What's going on with that?
In terms of being able to procure boards,
Yeah.
and things. Well, it is definitely a struggle. There's no question about it. But we are at least holding our own right now in terms of being able to get enough boards produced to continue to have a pretty reasonable flow of both steam and diesel engines. It's going to probably remain somewhat difficult for a period of time, I believe, but we're hoping it smooths out here shortly.
So are we thinking maybe into next year then?
Well, it looks like at least until, because they canceled a couple of our component orders and moved them into all the way from, I think, August to February. But
Wow.
we had enough stuff that I think it'll get us through to the end of the year. So I believe we're holding our own, and we're constantly looking for alternative sources of the components as well.
Understood. So patience may be in order for some products then.
Well, especially from the board supply through MTH Parts and Sales, they're going to struggle for a bit longer as well.
Right. And it's not just an MTH problem. Lionel's having the same issue. Atlas obviously is using PS3 boards in their product. So it's just the nature of the beast as the country, the global economy tries to recover from all this stuff. So appreciate the patience. I'm sure you got a lot of phone calls that come in. So what else do we have on that boat? SD9s?
Rail King scale SD9s. And you can choose between Milwaukee Road, Rio Grande, I think Pennsylvania, and nickel plate. And there are some custom SD9s as well. Don't think we're getting 100% of them on this container, but a month later we should have about 100% of them.
Yeah, one of the things that I think is interesting with the MTH marketing model, as it were, today is that the volume of product is not terribly different when you combine the MTH announcements for all dealers and the custom runs compared to 2020. It's darn similar to the same volume in terms of what MTH was doing in O gauge, and so it's really a response, I think, to the concern that people had that a competitor was going away, and the demand for MTH products. It certainly hasn't let up.
I can't thank our customers enough for the support they've shown us and some patience that they've shown us as well during the transition, and we're kind of constantly learning how to work smarter and be more flexible. So we'll encourage you to keep, like you said, keep an eye on that news tab on the website.
Do you find now that you're 60 that it's difficult to be smarter?
Well, it's always been difficult for me to be smarter because that's always possible. But
okay,
but
good answer.
I'm slowing down a little bit. Yes.
Yeah. Have things eased up on the shipping, the trucking shipping, or the container shipping, or even getting containers?
It's still difficult. It is a little bit. It's a little bit better than it was at its worst. No question about that. But I imagine that's going to stay a challenge as well for a little while. But we've found ways to, figure it out and get product in here.
Okay. So what else we've got? Let's see.
Some R50B reefers. Yes, we did deliver. I think it was Baltimore, Ohio last month. So this month it's Reading Northern, Southern, and Milwaukee Road.
Now these are all set up to match passenger cars that MTH has done?
Yes, that we've done, and some that I think Atlas is going to be coming out with as well.
And that maybe it's just the screen. It looks a little mustardy.
Yeah, that color doesn't look exactly right. But
let's see, what else? Is this about the end of what's on that shipment?
No. Single sheath, USRA single sheath box cars.
Now, this is one of my favorite MTH cars.
I love the detail on these. Great. We got Reading, Norfolk and Western, Baltimore, Ohio, and Southern Pacific. So look for those to be in stores within about 2 weeks.
What percentage of models does MTH still have in that gauge? Do you know?
I would estimate around 70% of the tools we originally had before the transition, maybe as much as 75%. We still have a lot of the tooling from before.
Okay. So MTH fans can rest assured that there's plenty of variety out there.
Yes.
You haven't doubled up really anything yet, have you? Maybe.
Well, we keep getting requests for 36-foot woodside reefer custom runs, so it's forced me to run those a couple times. And the Premier flat cars with pup trailers, pretty much the same result.
I'm assuming TrainWorld's in on some of that.
Yes, they are.
Okay, all right. Because I hate it when they miss the boat.
Well, they just need to be nudged along sometimes. Junior's on top of things, but you got to wake senior up sometimes.
All right. Sometimes I'm at the beach.
Well, it always seems like the requests come in about right after we've announced or MTH has announced, whatever the item is, and I think you give them a little more lead time.
Yeah, and one of the things for you customers out there in the field, if you work with a dealer and know people you've worked with, certainly you can encourage them to if you're looking for a particular road name, give them your feedback and see what they want to do, because most of the custom runs are fairly local to the shop, regional, but so if you can, just and I'm always looking for feedback from both the dealers and end users. So feel free to, email us, that type of thing, or get me the feedback through your dealer.
All righty. Yeah, I think that one of the things that separates MTH, or maybe it doesn't separate it, but certainly was a long-standing part of the philosophy at the company, was listening to what the customer feedback was, listening to their input and shaping the product line accordingly. And certainly back in the heyday, we were cranking out new models more so than anybody else. And that's what it's about.
We do have a question here from John, who said he can be patient, but why buy trains without an operating system? Well, we got news on that a little bit later on in the program here. So
indeed we do.
Back to the tooling. Sorry, I just see a question from Nicholas. They're asking, are there any plans for any new tooling from MTH?
Well, a few things there. There are a couple of projects that we are looking into that we're getting quoted in terms of cost. And I'm fairly confident that we are going to pull the trigger. We've also upgraded some products. We're going to talk about the, do you have them on your list here, Andy? The 35 foot?
Yes, they're on the list.
But when we get to that project, I'll explain some of the tooling improvements that have been made on that project.
They're not on the list.
But it's not. Well, I'll go ahead and say we promoted this past yesterday, 35-foot woodside cabooses, and that tooling was substandard compared to a lot of our other premier rolling stock. So we're going to fix the steps because they flared out like Mickey Mouse's ears and didn't look very attractive. The marker light detail was bulky and not particularly prototypical. That's being fixed, and I think the deck ends are going to have wood detail applied to them as well because it was just flat metal before.
Mickey Mouse's ears.
Yeah.
So for sharper curves or something, I guess.
Well, it was designed. That tool was built 20 plus years ago, and it just wasn't tooled as well as it should have been. And for one reason, we've barely run that project over our history.
Did the engineers have problems interpreting we need to fix the Mickey Mouse ears?
No, I think it was
Okay.
some prototypical photographs and drawings and stuff, and they got the picture.
Okay. All right. Good enough.
So is it time for our
It's time for
world
world
premiere?
It is.
So as some of you know, we've promoted some 210-4 engines, both the C&O T1s and the Penzi J1s a couple of weeks ago. And we did find that we had some extra parts. So we are announcing a couple new paint schemes today. And actually, my dealers don't even know about this, but I'll email you tomorrow morning on this. So, but there's a new Penzi J1 with sharper graphics on the
Pinstriping. Yeah.
pinstriping on the tender and a little bit of color. There's also two KCS versions, Kansas City Southern. There's the 909, which is a little more plain, and then there's the number 905, I think it is, which is the by War Bonds paint scheme on the tender, which is nice and colorful as well. And we didn't have a lot of parts, so these won't be very deep. So if anybody interested, get your order to the dealers. They may not even know about it till tomorrow in the morning, I'll try to email them the list. And,
otherwise it won't be till next Wednesday when we do a newsletter because I got to go away tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm out.
Well, dealers, I did get it onto the 2022 order form on the MTH dealer portal. So it is up there starting tomorrow morning.
And what Rich means by deep is the production quantity will be shallow.
Well,
don't wait.
Yeah, the quantity of parts was pretty thin. So
what radius track does that run on?
72.
I think it's 72. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is new or just announced.
Yeah, these were announced a week or two ago. The RS11 diesels in the Premier line, and so we have 4 to choose from MTH, Louisville and Nashville, Maine Central, Pennsylvania, and Southern Pacific. So get your orders in for those. You've still got a little bit of time to jump on those through your shops.
And that Penzi's kind of cool because it's got the radio antenna on it.
Yes, it does.
Yep.
Yeah.
And some of these are configured for rear or short hood forward or long hood forward, and you can tell by the engineer's position. We reverse that when necessary. So here's a short hood forward compared to the Penzi. So and that's prototypical based on the paint scheme. So we try to be pretty good about that. And there may be different horns, so the horns sounds will be different if there's single chimes or multi chimes or what have you. SW1200s were announced 3 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, we're running out of time on this one, but if you get to your dealer quick, you should be okay. They're Rail King scale SW1200s. The Marburger Dairy, which is kind of a fun one because we've done a lot of Marburger Dairy freight cars. So this is the first engine we've ever done.
Was this your idea?
It's actually Jim Marburger, the owner of the dairy, who's, and by the way, they won some first place in the Los Angeles buttermilk
Really?
blue ribbon.
Really?
So I congratulated him.
I'm not a buttermilk fan.
I'm not either,
Okay.
but God bless him. Anyway,
That's awesome.
also we have U.S. Navy, which has been very popular so far, and both engine and calf.
Now the caps are non-powered.
Calves are non-powered. That's correct. Southern Pacific and Pennsylvania.
I think the Marburger, pretty slick. I think it's going to do well. That's my opinion.
Yes, I believe it will.
Yeah.
The car's always sold well as well. Oh, by the way, Jim Marburger wanted the horn on that engine to sound like cows mooing, but I don't know if we actually are going to do that.
Well,
Or is that what we're doing?
I think you should send Andy to the field and record the cows mooing.
Andy does not need to go to a field.
Andy's back.
I-
That horse couldn't get over the fence.
I could only picture Andy with the boom sound recorder next to a big
He'd
cow.
be picking up other cow noises, I'm afraid.
So we'll have to talk to the sound engineer, but there is a way to set up a different sound that you would trigger with DCS.
Yes.
The non-existent DCS that we'll talk about.
Yes.
In a bit. So yeah, that's doable, but somebody does have to record that, and it's not me. I'm just saying. Me and cows, we don't get along. We do not get along. All right, gondola cars with junk.
Yeah,
loads.
guns with junk loads. They were just recently announced. So in those we have Baltimore, Ohio, Southern Pacific, Great Northern, and Maine Central.
Right. And there's a bunch of custom runs coming for these too, I think. And typically those announcements happen over 3 weeks or so after the MTH.
Yes.
Conference. I'm just a little slow on getting that done, so that's my bad.
And we're getting toward the end of our items, I believe, here. So we've had some Rail King modern tanks that we just promoted, U.S. Air Force, Union Pacific, Southern Sunoco, and NASA. And those are always
Nice paint schemes.
very popular road names for us.
Yeah, you know how many different NASA things we've done over the years?
Is that a trick question?
It is, because I don't know the answer.
I don't know. If I was sitting in my office, I might take a swing at it.
It's
It
more
always does very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they
Yeah,
have.
they do.
It's kind of surprising. But yeah, we've done quite a few. It's amazing. I think Rail King boxcars we announced a little while ago. I'm not sure why you wanted to have me stick this on the list.
Well, because they're about to arrive,
Okay.
and we do have a little bit of room on these because we had to guess the quantity because they're coming with some of the Christmas and Halloween items that are on the water as well.
Okay.
So we've made up a commitment to never, hopefully, shipping holiday items after the holiday. So we hustled like crazy this year to get our Halloween themed items and our Christmas themed items moved up in the schedule as quick as we could.
So that means that they'll be here and
Yes, these cars with the LEDs have always been very popular for us. So we've got the Gons with the snowmen, and the snowmen change color, I think, on these things. If I'm not mistaken.
yes, they do.
And
In fact, I think there's some video on the MTH site. You'd have to search back. It might even be associated with. Are these new SKUs?
no,
Okay, so if you go to the item on the MTH site, I think there's video. You can see that they look really cool when the lights are dim. When they're bright, it's not quite as prevalent. But and those cars with all the LEDs on them anyway look
Yeah.
when it's not that bright.
yeah. And of course, we have the flat cars with the Santa sleigh and the reindeer with the glowing nose. We have them in green flat, red flat, and white flat, all with LEDs on them.
These are new colors.
We had done green a couple of years ago. The red and the white are new, so they'll be coming shortly.
Okay. and then some trolleys, bump and go trolleys. We have sold, MTH has sold bump and go trolleys. It's amazing.
Yes. Well, it's a good quality, nice little trolley. These, the Christmas and the North Pole have the LED lighting around the roof. And so they're coming.
And then some plain ones, right?
Yes, we have Metropolis Transit and the Buy War Bonds.
That one's going to do well, I'm sure. And then a Halloween one.
Yep, the Transylvania trolley.
Very cool.
So
it's too bad we can't stick sound in there.
Well, maybe one day. And then finally, to wrap up for these new items, we have the Premier Flats with pup trailers, with some interesting pup trailers, but the road names are great. Northern, Milwaukee Road, New York Central.
By the way, we screwed this up.
I know.
Okay.
Don't tell me.
You've heard it enough.
I rarely make mistakes. That one was a mistake.
Well, because you're not as smart as you were.
Well, not as humble as I used to be either, but
you're the most humblest guy in the train business.
Well, and finally, Southern Pacific. So now we're into the DCS Wi-Fi production status. So Andy, you recently talked to our buddy Dave, and
I did talk to Dave, and Dave Kriebel is the fellow that's responsible for the development of DCS, and hence the one that is cursed a lot because of the component problems. And he's done a yeoman's job, maybe, of trying to trace down these parts, and it's just difficult. His design is done. They're ready to build the things, but they're waiting on parts to arrive. So the last conversation I had with him, which is 3 or 4 weeks ago, actually it might have been a little bit longer than that because it's right around York, was that October would be the build and arrival would be in end of the year, January, something like that.
I think we'll have them before right around the end of the year. Yes. And folks have been very patient with us. We do have a pretty reasonable quantity coming. So hopefully you'll be able to get yours, and then you've got something to run your trains with. But there was such when Mike announced he was retiring, we had to run on a lot of our product, but the electronics were the first to go. And so it took a little while to get this new unit designed and ready. But then, like you said, the components have been just keep knocking us off track, as it were.
Exactly. One of the things about the process is that there's a new app or a revised app coming out that's going to deal with some of the functions and features that'll be in that DCS Wi-Fi unit. And I know that that's progressing along because I'm on the beta test list. So
they couldn't find anybody better.
No. They're a little annoyed because I haven't done anything because my iPad is so old that it won't run.
My point is made.
So anyway, I know they're doing something because I keep getting these beta test versions of the software. One of the things will be
you guys got a reminder that you're like Abbott and Costello of Vogue age.
Who am I?
Which one was taller? There's some new features in there in that app, and I think one of them is you'll be able to play sound from your phone without any hardwire.
Yeah, that's correct.
You'll still be able to use the old remote because when we initially announced that DCS Wi-Fi system, that wasn't going to be included. So if you go back to, I think it was 2020 Volume 1, we had it in there, and it said won't work with the old remote, and
it will work if it's tethered.
It has to be tethered, but it wasn't going to be that way.
Yes,
and so I think that Dave got the what for about that, and corrected that. But people would say, well, why can't you do that? Why can't you use the remote? Why does it have to be tethered? Well, the Wi-Fi system has a Wi-Fi receiver and transmitter built into it. The remote is a 900 megahertz radio receiver and transmitter, and they don't make the component anymore because that's so old.
And one of the reasons for the redesign was exactly that, and we will see how for those that have to have a remote in their hands, the short-term solution is to tether it to this unit if you can't find the old TIUs. But there may be some other workarounds that Dave's playing with for a potential future remote.
Well, I think
no guarantees there.
Yeah, I would say no guarantees, and I think that what people have to really come to is that the way to control things is with your phone. I mean, it's so much more functional, and even my dad's using his phone now.
Well,
when he remembers to turn it on.
I will say that I poo-pooed the development of the app the whole time MTH was developing it, and once I had to get it on my phone to go to train shows and show it off and whatnot, I think it runs circles around the remote. So take it from a tech idiot, and Andy can attest that I am a tech idiot.
Well, you had to finally get a car with power windows because your elbow got sore.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think the big thing to remember about DCS is it just turned 20 this past spring. It was announced in 2000, and it came out in 2002. Spring of 2002. At the York TCA meet in April, there was a DCS user group meeting, and it was reminded that, hey, it's 20 years old. And that old hardware from 20 years ago can still run the trains, and it can work with this phone.
That's correct.
And that's amazing because most times, and you can certainly see it in everything else, including phones, where they don't work anymore, and computers and Windows and all that stuff. So I think that we've made accommodations to continue to use the old remote control, but we're kind of stuck with the fact that the hardware and the use of it in the model railroad marketplace has outgrown the manufacturing of the components that are required to keep that process going with new releases of that old hardware. It just can't be done. So there's your chance to still use it, but really you got to step up and get a phone. I mean, Ken, do you still have your flip phone, or did you
I tell you, I'm a tech idiot also, just like Rich. But I tell you, the customers, they want the handheld remote in their hand. So many people asking for it. They just, the phone is something you're on all day long. They want something else to hold in their hand. It's just even with the Lionel, they're begging for that one also, which.
There's something to be said about escaping from being attached to a phone all the time. I get that, but you're stuck with such old technology and the ability to build it. I mean, if MTH were to build a new remote, I think it would cost more than a phone.
There are some questions from a customer here that's looking for the Wi-Fi module for the older TIUs. We are building more. Those should be sometime this fall, I believe, that they should be out, along with more DCS Explorers, which was a popular, less expensive way to use DCS.
Two things. The new Wi-Fi app, is that going to come out the same time as the DCS?
Yes.
Okay. And will you only need the new DCS Wi-Fi unit to use the new app, or can the old app users use?
No, it'll work. It'll work with the old DCS Wi-Fi interface unit, the separate module that Rich was just speaking of. So you don't need to go buy a new DCS Wi-Fi TIU. Really, that's just marrying the old TIU and the Wi-Fi interface unit into one box, and adding some new functionality and features. But you certainly will be able to use the new version of the app because most people's phones are set to auto update anyway. So if we released it and it shut down the usage of the old WIU, there would be some hill to pay.
That wouldn't be good.
That would not be good.
And I know Kevin out there has been asking questions about his app freezing up, but I tested here, and it's quite honestly, to me, the app is easier than a handheld.
Well,
so I don't know, just my opinion.
Let me also say, Kevin left me a voicemail today, which I got, but I didn't get back to him yet. And I will be working on your problem, and hopefully we'll get back to you. I do have to go out of town for a few days, so if just be patient with me, Kevin. I'll get an answer to your question.
Yeah, and everybody out there, Rich is a one-man band over there. He's go like an octopus with his arms all over the place. So just be patient with him, and he'll eventually get to you. And Rich always does right by everyone. So just hang in there.
All right, let's get on to some of the TrainWorld custom runs, I think.
Yep. And you guys just shout out if you're low on these. So 50-foot double door plugged box cars. These are pretty cool. Route 66. Where did you guys come up with that idea?
I've been seeing the auction houses advertise certain things about Route 66, and it just seems like it's a popular thing that guys have done over the years. I've never driven Route 66, but I don't know if you guys have, but it seems to be one of those road trips that once you do it, you say you did it. It's like a bucket list thing.
Yeah.
And different guys are into different type of cars, motorcycles, and I remember the Easy Rider movie. That was all about like a road trip type thing. And I think it's something we all dream about, get in the car and just go, and just a different town every night type of thing.
Yeah, Rich has that. It was always something else with a different bar every night, but you can't go there.
I'm Pat. I'm not going to speak.
You would just end up in the parking lot with the keys in your pocket. I get that, but
yeah. And I think the Route 66, I think it started in Chicago, ends in Santa Monica, California, the pier there or something. So it's a pretty long trip. Trip.
Yeah, and we have 3 different vehicles offering, along with the 3 different colors: the motorcycle, the pickup truck, and the I guess the hot rod.
Yeah, hot rod I think is the last one, and I think I blew these cars up a little too much. So the back image, I see a little pixelation there. If anybody can see that, my bad. But they're cool, and they should. How far out are these?
They've got to be fairly close now at this point. Yeah.
All right. So get your orders in. They'll be here soon.
Yeah. In the beginning, there were certain ones different guys wanted, but now it's pretty even. Everybody's buying one of each now. It just seems to be the way it's going.
Good.
Well, you pretty much, if you're going to get one, you ought to have the set.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. They got good sayings on them.
Yeah.
Things we all relate to.
Yep, for sure. 4 bay cylindrical hoppers. The Canadian National. That's such a cool paint scheme.
Yep.
I know that Ken was confused about that lettering going up the side, right?
Yeah. I thought that was a mistake. Yeah. That's right. Though.
It's cool looking. And this one, you guys got to do well on this car. That's a super cool car.
Yeah,
sure.
We're actually almost pre-sold out on this. So if you do have any interest, I would suggest getting your pre-order in shortly, because most likely it will sell out before we get here.
Maybe tonight. Maybe tonight. Let's see. What's next, Rich?
USRA 40-foot box cars that are custom runs for TrainWorld.
Oh, yeah. So these have 2 car numbers. I think I only list the first item number, but when you go to TrainWorld's site, you'd see both of them. And these are some cool schemes. So the difference is the car numbers themselves. And then this last one, I think we'll let Senior talk about this one because it's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is about the prohibition. I guess there was a time when they thought liquor was a bad thing, and all the churchgoers, it would, I guess, liquor would wreck families. They say so. They stopped selling it, and everything became like sold in speakeasies in the basements and the underground liquor type thing. And I guess one big player in it was Al Capone and Chicago to New York type stuff. And I think it lasted from 1920 to 32 or 34. It's way before my time, but I'm sure we got a lot of customers out there. And but it's a great paint job. They've been doing very well, and it's all about beer and liquor. But it's interesting how with COVID, that was considered essential now, liquor. So they wouldn't close down the liquor stores now that it was a great thing during COVID, but back then it was a bad thing. So
Yeah, you can get carry out hooch from the restaurant.
so it's times have changed on our view of things for sure.
So I think the car numbers there are that gap. I only show the one item number here, but I think the other item, which is what 99360, has 1932 on the door, if I recall.
33.
Okay.
33.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. And I think Rich wouldn't have done well in the Prohibition era, so it's a good thing he was born after.
I paid my time right.
So ES44s. Now these are the Rail King models, do these have the?
No,
they don't. So this was kind of like a fantasy paint scheme. You know, Union Pacific always does well with the flag. This is kind of a tribute to a mix if they were kind of married together. And everybody loves the American flag, Union Pacific, and why not for Southern Pacific? So who knows? Maybe we'll see it on the rails one day.
Maybe. I mean, we've had the railroads imitate some of the models that have been done. So
I really I thought it was a good idea, Kenny, because I've always liked that black with a paint scheme, and then to add the flag, I thought it was a good touch.
Yeah.
And this one kind of on the heels of your RS3s, right?
Yeah, that one has the charging lights, I believe. And this was actually a paint scheme you kind of put together on the RS3 and the Wave, and just looks great. Really dynamite.
Yeah, it's pretty darn cool. Pretty darn cool. Couple of more diesels, MP15s, and it's amazing how these things continue to sell, these MP15s. So now, what is this? South Brooklyn? Is that still in existence? What's up with that?
So this is a similar type of engine, but it is an actual engine. Nobody's ever going to make the tooling of the exact precise engine. So this is the next closest thing that we could get for a custom run for Brooklyn. And this is South Brooklyn. And a lot of people have a lot of interest, of course, because our store is one of them is in Brooklyn. So a lot of people love it. The road numbers are N-2 and N-1, and it's colorful. It's actually, even if you're not from New York, it's a cool looking engine.
Yeah.
It is, and I think one of the neat things about these Rail King diesels, most of these things are scale proportions. This one in particular is a scale proportion diesel, so it looks at home on a O-scale railroad that's got a lot of premier stuff on it, and it's similarly outfitted in terms of die-cast metal trucks and fuel tank pilots and metal handrails and whatnot, and some separate grab rails on there. So kind of right in line with that, but at a lesser price point.
It is one of our better detailed Rail King diesels, no question about that. And you're right, scale proportion.
Rich, Andy, when my son was showing me he's making these, I'm telling him, what are you making these things for? I have no idea what they are. I've never seen them before. And then I saw the back orders on them, and I couldn't believe it. I said, what? How the hell did they order so many of these on one email? I guess it has to do with people that work on the railroad. They know exactly what this is. It's like with the subway sets. It's not people sometimes that have layouts. They ride the train. They work for the railroad. They know exactly what this kind of stuff is. And I was very impressed with the amount of audits. Very surprised. Very surprised.
Kenny, you shouldn't question Junior's judgment. Be a good dad and tell him he's not as dumb as he looks.
No, he's a big asset to our company, without a doubt. I hope I can keep my place.
We know who the brains are in this company.
It's frustrating when your offspring becomes smarter than you.
Yeah, but it's a great thing to watch. Great thing to watch.
So the New York work train, there are 2 SKUs for this, right, Ken? We've lost his audio.
Unmute yourself, Ken.
Sorry about that.
So there are two SKUs for this, right? 2 different numbers.
Right. Correct.
And I think, are the ends different colors? This profile shot won't show that, obviously.
Yes. So we actually have this in 2 different colors, and again, this is an actual train in the subways. That kind of work train, New York work train, but the exact tooling wouldn't be the same. So it's the next best thing as an MP15, but the fronts are what really make it unique and different. And you could watch YouTube videos inside New York and whatever. It's really unique where you see they have the American flag on the front of the engines. And we're actually offering this in 2 different paint schemes, which you could see them around New York, and just really neat engines. One's the black scheme, and the other, I think
it has green stripes, right?
Yes. But for some reason, I don't see it here. So I'd have to look back on that.
We do have some folks asking if MTH is going to promote more subways, and the answer to that is yes. I just haven't gotten to it. I'll get on it soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd have to look into the difference, but I believe there was two different variations that we're doing, so we'll get on that.
Yeah, like Rich, you mentioned earlier, I guess our customers, if there's local railroads that you would like us to possibly make that in the normal, they wouldn't be making them, just send Kenny an email or a picture of something that's pretty popular in your area, and maybe we can have it made. Me and my son were looking at some analytics on where we ship to. And I was surprised at some of the states that we do a lot of shipping to, we'll do a lot of dollars in. I said, you know what? Maybe we'll make some custom stuff in certain particular states, and those guys would be happy to get something of their local railroads.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when Rich was talking about subways, but anything out of New York, when MTH was considering doing subways years and years ago, when you had more hair and I wasn't as fat, we said, no, nobody would buy subways. They were only in New York. And I think we forget that a lot of New Yorkers move away, go somewhere else, but they don't forget, what they had when they were younger or when they lived there or what have you. So subways have been great for MTH. And, these railroads that you guys are doing, Long Island, whatnot. I mean, they're darn popular.
Yes, they are.
It's surprising, but I think it's really because it's such a big population area, and people go to other areas and they still remember. So, not a bad approach.
And now I got my ducks in a row now. So,
okay.
We have 2 different variations on this New York work train. One has the green pinstriping with the American flag. That's number 900. And the other variation is with just black pinstriping with the American flag. So 2 different variations, and both colors were, you could find them in the New York subway systems and around New York. So very cool paint schemes there.
Yeah, good job, Ken. Good job.
And we don't know what the meaning of those stripes are, do we? For as far as the different colors.
Probably for safety reasons. I'm sure someone watching tonight could give a more accurate, I guess, perception. But usually those stripes are for safety and to let people know that the train is coming. But if someone knows the answer, please chime in, and we'll make sure we publish that. But usually when we had Operation Lifesaver, they kind of said a lot of those pinstripings were for safety and caution. So could be.
And finally, you have a couple of Rail King scale SW1200s that you're running.
That you haven't announced yet.
We haven't announced. So this is the big announcement for tonight. New custom run. And these are the SW1200s, and these trains were actually in existence, and I believe they're probably still somewhere around. But New York, New Jersey rail, and very cool paint schemes, different, unique, and again, it's something that's current, you know.
Yeah, they're sharp looking for sure, and they're going to be coming late fall. I think we're in October, November, something like that for these. So get your orders in, and because that production will get pinned down here shortly.
Yeah, and we do so many offerings for Long Island. We're trying to switch it up a little and offer more for the New York, city area, and also Jersey. It's still a big train community, but these are unique. I don't think they've ever been done before. So really cool looking, different paint schemes, and I think they'll be really good sellers.
Awesome. All right, well, that I think catches us up on some of your exclusives that you've still got some room on, and these new announcements. And obviously, we could go on for hours with all the stuff that we've announced over the last year, and it just keeps going. It's amazing.
Again, thanks to all our customers for your support. I really appreciate it, and it's we're going to keep trying to build trains that you want, and we're always listening. So thanks much.
Yeah, thank you, Rich and Andy. And on our website at TrainWorld.com, we still have tons of MTH trains. We have over 700 products listed for MTH trains, all different scales. I know I saw a couple of G scale questions, and there should be some G scale announcements as soon as Rich kind of gets his ducks in a row and puts things together. But we've had it in the works for a while.
No, actually, the bottleneck there is right here.
Oh, Andy. Okay.
Yeah, that would be the bottleneck.
All right. So, but tons of product from MTH, and you could also filter out for the MTH exclusives by TrainWorld, Trainland exclusive right here. You click yes, and these are all our product offerings. We're taking pre-orders. We didn't go over this one today, but this is Santa Fe blue and yellow paint scheme, Blue Bonnet, really nice paint scheme. We're doing those in premieres with MTH. These we went over. We still have a couple of RS3s left in the Long Island paint schemes, beautiful paint schemes. The SW1500s, we still have a couple left. These are new arrivals. This paint scheme is perfect for 4th of July. This was an actual engine for you Long Island fans out there. Really neat. This was never done before, and MTH and TrainWorld came together. They did it. This was actually a Mike Wolf favorite, and he thought it would do very well as well. Really neat. So the SW1500s, the RS1s came in recently. These are also new arrivals. The Brunswick green, and there's also black. We heard 50-50 from two different customers and tons of customers out there, but both sides, some people saying that the RS one was black, and the other half was saying it was Brunswick green because they were the old Pensi units painted green over the black, so they look black. We'll never know the right answer because everybody swears that they know what they're talking about. So I have no idea. So we'll just keep that.
Whichever one suits you. How's that?
There you go. So we made one for each because we couldn't make up our minds. This Brooklyn Terminal Yards, this was my father's creation, and it did very well. We couldn't even promote it. I only think we have one or two left. Really cool paint scheme. And again, this is Ken Sr. working with Andy. Andy, having his most patience with Ken Sr. and really going back and forth, but they both make it work. Andy somehow reads my father's mind, so God bless him.
Yeah. Andy makes winners. He makes winners.
Yes, these we went over. The bump and go trolleys you guys went over, but we still have a couple of exclusives left. These are also new arrivals. Bump and go Long Island. This is Harlem and Manhattanville. This was an actual trolley in the city. And I believe it's to the Polo Grounds. So if anybody knows the Polo Grounds, I believe that was old Yankee Stadium for New York. And this was an actual train.
The Giants played at the Polo Grounds.
Oh, okay. Okay. But now it's the new Yankee Stadium or something with the Yankees, right?
No. Mm-hmm.
No. Maybe.
I don't know. The New Yorkers.
It's before my time. The guys on the show could probably chime in and give me a history lesson. So, but it's baseball related to the Polo Grounds. And then you got City Hall to Central Park, an actual trolley as well. And City Hall, Central Park, and Harlem Bridge. So really cool trolleys. They'll probably all be gone by Christmas time. Some Long Island boxcars, some police boxcars, just all different stuff. These cabooses, we just got these in, Long Island caboose. Really nice paint scheme. They always do well, and those should be, probably leaving the barn shortly. So make sure you put your orders in because all of this stuff is they're small runs, and this is why MTH has done so many custom exclusives, and you see all these shops jumping in, and it's really because MTH is able to produce low quantities that dealers and MTH get in and out of these quickly. So it's really cool, unique. We're able to try different things without being stuck with a lot of inventory. So a lot of this product is going to move very quickly. So make sure you get your orders in. And we are getting a couple of different answers on the Polo Grounds. So at least I'm not the only one confused. Rich is saying the Mets played at the Polo Grounds, and Randy is saying that the Polo Grounds were across Harlem River from Yankee Stadium. So it's New York baseball grounds. So New York Giants, New York Mets, New York Yankees. Whether you're one fan or the other, it could go either way. So leave it at that. But guys, Rich, Andy, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We know that your guys' time is very valuable and scarce these days. You guys have a lot of things. Please, everybody out there, try to be as patient as you can with them. Even though MTH has been around for many years, I don't even know the exact amount of years, but they've had a long history in the train industry. But this is kind of a new company within MTH, new structuring. So Rich is kind of doing a lot of new things, getting his ducks in a row. Andy is kind of setting up in his new company, Prime Mover Communications, helping MTH trains, Atlas trains, so a lot of companies. So they're kind of getting their bearings straight. So the parts and service, Andy also talked about that new website. It's a brand new website. I saw a couple of people bringing up, when are you going to have the HO parts, this parts. Mike is doing his best to get all the parts on But there's a backlog. There's a lot of work to be done. It's a smaller company structure than the old structure before, so it's going to take time. A lot of people just want all parts listed overnight, and Mike is actually breaking down each engine one by one, and I don't even want to tell you how much time this takes. And a lot of these parts are only worth $1, $2, small screws or whatever, but he's breaking them down in a diagram, exploded view, doing some crazy stuff and trying to correlate that with, okay, this engine is the same parts as that engine. So he's really doing his best with the website, but it's going to take a lot of time. I know personally there's a reason why we haven't listed all our old Lionel parts in our system, because we can't, find them, list them. You got to create bars, codes, SKUs. It's a lot of work. So just be patient with the team over there at MTH Electric Trains. And we all will do our best. Make sure you sign up for our email newsletters as well as MTH for all the new latest announcements. We're also doing TrainWorld text. So make sure you sign up for our text service. If you signed up, you got a notification that Rich and Andy were on tonight's show at 5:45 p.m. So I'm glad that you guys got a text and signed up there. And thank you guys so much for joining us. We really do appreciate your support. Both MTH and TrainWorld have been working together for long amount of time, years. I know Rich and Andy have a long history together, but we also have a long history together as well. Not as long as them two, but it's really a great camaraderie between everyone in the hobby. And it really stems from being to York together and just talking on the phone with Rich, Andy all the time. It's great to have them around, and having them still remain in the industry is, we're all very fortunate because they are great people. They've become great friends and ambassadors of the hobby. So really appreciate them sticking around and being a part of this.
Well, thank
that was
you.
very, very nice, Ken. Very nice.
Thank you for having
Let me
us.
just throw one word in, Rich. Guys, I want to try something new out there. Every time MTH announces a new item, an engine or a car, just send TrainWorld, maybe your local railroad that could be made for that. If we get enough people from your area, your state requesting that same item, maybe we'll make it for you. It's just, we don't even know what runs in your backyard out there. So if there's enough guys that say, oh, make this, make that in this paint scheme, show us a sample, a picture, we may make it for you. So every time they announce something every week, let's see what the response is. And you may get lucky, get something right from your backyard.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how it works.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. Oh, Rich, you want
Yeah,
to?
I was going to just say thank you for having us. It's great to connect with the customers, and thank you for doing these.
Yeah, you guys do a wonderful job, and it's you're great ambassadors for the hobby. I mean, obviously you're in business, but you guys are really helping the hobby, and you've done a great job. Ken Jr., I remember when you first started doing this stuff, and you guys are doing great. So it's awesome to see, and we certainly appreciate being on and helping you out, and appreciate all the help you've given MTH and all the manufacturers. I'm sure feel the same way.
Well, thank you guys so much. And don't forget, you could get all your MTH trains at trainworld.com. Shop online 24/7. Thank you guys. Have a great night.